I never imagined that a simple act of kindness, just helping out a neighbor, would change the entire direction of my life. If someone told me that day that I'd fall for a woman twice my age, I would have laughed and walked away. But love doesn't knock politely, it crashes through your walls when you least expect it. And it all started one quiet Sunday afternoon, with a woman named Maya. It was the start of summer. I had just finished college, jobless but optimistic, spending most of my days helping around the neighborhood to keep my mind busy. Maya had recently moved into the house across the street, a big, ivy-wrapped old home with a tired garden and peeling paint. People whispered she was a widow, that she lived alone after her husband's death 5 years ago. She rarely came outside except to feed the stray cats that gathered near her porch. The first time I met her, she was struggling to carry boxes from her car. Without thinking, I crossed the road and offered a hand. She looked up, startled, her deep brown eyes soft but guarded. "I can manage," she said politely, brushing her gray-streaked hair behind her ear. "I know you can," I replied, smiling. "But everyone needs a little help sometimes." That was the moment she smiled, a small, hesitant curve of her lips that somehow made the afternoon feel warmer. I carried her boxes in, and before I knew it, I was fixing her garden lights, painting her gate, and helping her clean out the attic. She always insisted on making me tea afterward, and our conversations became longer each day. I learned she used to be a literature professor. Her husband had died of cancer, and since then, she'd retreated into her books and silence. She had no children, no family close by. Just memories and loneliness wrapped in grace. For some reason, I kept finding excuses to visit her. Sometimes I'd mow her lawn, sometimes I'd bring groceries, but truthfully, I just wanted to see her smile again. There was something magnetic about the calmness she carried, something grounding. One evening, while repairing her porch light, she stood beside me watching the sunset. "You remind me of my younger self," she said softly. "Curious, stubborn, and full of light." I laughed. "That's a strange compliment." "It's not a compliment," she smiled faintly. "It's a warning. Don't lose it too early." As weeks turned into months, something changed. The laughter became warmer, the silences more comfortable, and every time our hands brushed accidentally, my heart raced faster. I told myself it was admiration, nothing more. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. I was falling for her. One rainy night, I found her sitting alone in the dark, her power out, tears glistening in the candlelight. I rushed to fix the fuse, and when the lights flickered back on, she looked at me with a pain I couldn't describe. "Why do you keep helping me, Armin?" she asked. "Because you matter," I whispered before realizing what I'd said. She turned away, shaking her head. "You shouldn't say things like that. You're too young to understand what loneliness does to people like me." "I understand enough," I replied, stepping closer. "Sometimes, all a person needs is someone who listens." "I can be that." She smiled through her tears, and for the first time, she let me hold her hand. That night changed everything. The next few months were a blur of moments I'll never forget: shared breakfasts, late-night talks about dreams, the smell of her jasmine tea, and the way she'd laugh when I teased her about her favorite old songs. People began to notice. Some neighbors whispered. My friends joked about it. But I didn't care. I felt something real, something purer than any fleeting relationship I'd had before. Still, she kept her distance, always careful not to cross a line that might break the fragile peace between us. Until one evening, we were sitting on her porch under the silver glow of the moon. I had just told her about a job offer in another city, a chance to finally start my career. She congratulated me, but her voice trembled. "So, you'll be leaving soon?" "Maybe." "Unless," I paused, my heart pounding. "Unless what?" she asked quietly. "Unless there's a reason to stay." She looked at me for a long moment, her eyes glistening, searching my face like she was trying to memorize it. Then, almost in a whisper, she said, "Would you marry a woman twice your age?" The world seemed to stop. My throat tightened, words catching between disbelief and hope. "Maya," I started, but she looked away, embarrassed. "I shouldn't have said that," she murmured. "Forget it." I took her hand before she could finish. "I would. If that woman was you." She froze. And then she cried, not out of sadness, but from the storm of emotion she'd kept buried for years. I held her, realizing that age wasn't a boundary, it was just a number between two lonely hearts that had finally found home. Life after that wasn't easy. We faced judgment, whispers, even family disapproval. My parents thought I was out of my mind, her relatives thought she was going through a midlife crisis. But we stood our ground. Love, we discovered, isn't measured by years lived, it's measured by moments shared, by kindness, by courage. Maya taught me more about love than anyone ever could. She showed me that companionship isn't about fitting into society's expectations, it's about finding peace in another person's soul. A year later, we got married quietly, with just a few close friends. No big ceremony, no fancy dress, just us, holding hands under the same porch where it all began. And every time I see her smile, I'm reminded of that day she asked the question that changed everything. Yes, I did marry a woman twice my age, and it was the best decision of my life.